Sea sponges are soaking up some climate drama. They're the center of a new peer-reviewed study that suggests we may have seriously underestimated global warming.
We're heading into a very dangerous, high-risk scenarios for the future, and the only way to stop this is to reduce emissions. We have a decade less than we thought we did. That's the outcomes of our findings.
That sounds bad. But other experts are like, oh, okay, hold up. I'll get into why in just a second, but first, let's talk about this paper. To help reconstruct past climate, scientists use something called proxies. These are things like tree rings, corals, ice cores, and apparently sponges. In this study, they analyzed sclerosponges. This species lives hundreds of feet deep in the ocean, and they grow very slowly, just a fraction of a millimeter per year. And as they grow, they quietly record what's going on around them, like water temperature, salinity, and carbon dioxide. And they store that information in their skeletons. Since they can live for centuries, they have a lot of data, which helps scientists piece together the past, like tiny memory cards living hundreds of feet beneath the ocean. And with the help of deep-sea divers, they collected samples from 6 different sponges around the Caribbean. And per the sponges, temperatures stayed pretty consistent through 1790, until multiple volcanic eruptions triggered widespread cooling. Then warming picked back up in the mid-1860s, courtesy of the Industrial Revolution. So, according to the sponges, the warming started 40 years earlier than the IPCC baseline suggests, and the Earth's actually warmed by 1.7 degrees Celsius. This is where the drama starts. 2 degrees Celsius, or ideally 1.5, is the target nations have set to stay below when it comes to warming. So blowing beyond it, especially earlier than expected, could have big implications. However, some scientists have raised concerns that this study is based on just one sponge species from a single location. And even though the sponges say we've warmed by 1.7 degrees and the IPCC says we've warmed by 1.2 degrees, it doesn't necessarily mean that the world will experience more severe climate impacts sooner than expected. And if you notice, all of these projections are heading in the same direction. And everyone agrees that since we started burning coal, oil, and gas, the world has heated up at record pace.
We've got to get really serious about reducing emissions and start to turn the corner and bring them down and get them down to this net zero so the atmosphere CO2 doesn't keep on increasing.